Alright, here we are with another patch. Gotta say, thank you Kuro for releasing this before Monster Hunter Wilds releases, because Wilds will consume my life. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't intentional, it just so happens that this is how their schedule works. Anyway, so what's up with 2.1? Well, how do I put this? It's mid, and I'm not talking about the amount of content we got from 2.1, in fact, I'm happy about the amount. It's just that I wasn't really whelmed by the content we got, so let's talk about it. When I released my 2.0 video, it was before Roccia's character quest came out, so let me just tell you what I thought about it. I don't like it. I wanted to slam my head on the table over and over just to keep myself awake. It was honestly boring. It was like taking this section and stretching it out to an entire quest. Sure, we learned a bit about the culture of the fools and Roccia along with some side questing, but all I got out of it was church bad. This entire quest gave me the feeling of falling asleep throughout a movie only to wake up at the end just to see a musical number. But yeah, that's how I feel about Roccia's quest. So what does that have to do with 2.1? Well, much like the beginning of Carlotta's quest, which drags a bit too much, Kuro is going to miss every so often. And leaving 2.0 feeling like that really had me hoping that 2.1 will lift my spirits. So, how did it go? Well, I do not like the Alvarado Vault Exploration quest. This quest felt like taking this section and stretching it out to an entire quest. Sure, we learned a bit about what's going on in the vault, but all I got out of it was church bad. In my video surrounding Wuthering Waves story, Kuro's writing, I said that I feel that their plot-driven stories are one of their weaker points. However, when it comes to deep character writing, that's where their strengths come in. Though, Roccia's quest didn't really show off that strength. Ideally, the best stories would be a balance of both strong plot and character writing, but of course, we didn't get that and the vault quest was ultimately plot-driven, and predictably it was pretty weak. We're just going and going and going, and what did we get? Church bad. Okay, maybe there's a bit more to that, but I feel like it wasn't conveyed that well. As far as I understand, this was for Phoebe to see how the church has affected the truth seekers, and also church bad. Maybe they might take this plot somewhere, I don't know. It's not like they did this before, right? Wait. Also, there's like no chemistry with the current cast here. As far as I understand it, everyone is being strictly professional, but it's so distant, and that would make sense if it wasn't so boring. Then there's also the case of a lack of visual storytelling. Sure, there's little things you can interact with, but for certain story bits, it's not there. Like, remember the relic Phoebe brought with her? Well, you won't see it for a long time throughout the quest. The only time they reference back to it is when Zanny points it out in passing, but they never pull it out to show us what it is. Not that we need to see it, but to be honest, I kind of forgot about it until they pulled the surprise, it bomb, and it going to frame the Montelli family, and nothing came out of it other than church bad. But there is something that needs to be said about this quest. Something about it feels rather unrefined and less polished. And I think that's because it's an exploration quest, not a main act quest. In fact, I was a little confused about what I was playing because this quest was fully voiced, which, by the way, is really good, they should keep it up. But it's also strange as it feels like it's sort of better than your typical exploration quest, but it's not as good as your typical main quest. Look, hear me out. So, about the vault mechanics. As mentioned earlier, it took the vault section in 2.0 and made it a whole thing. Back in 2.0, I did say that I was hoping they'd expand on those mechanics, and they did. But before I can say Kuro listened, I really don't think this was what I was looking for. What I was really hoping for were mechanics that would come together and build up to a challenging puzzle that could tickle the brain. Which was not what we got. If anything, it somehow got less interesting. Then there's the vault design. Honestly, if this quest was 5 minutes longer, I'd start to lose my mind. Every corridor felt like running through the same hallway over and over again. So overall, I was bored and a bit disappointed. Do tell me in the comments below how you feel about this, or what am I missing, because I'm not feeling this one. Okay, after the exploration quest, what now? Alright, let's see. We have to catch a whale? I'm sure we can find one in the Genshin Impact community, right? So, what's strange about this is that the prerequisite for the fishing quest is the exploration quest. And the reason why I find it strange is because the quality shot up coming from the exploration quest, as the fishing quest is a main quest. I guess they're trying something new. Most exploration quests are independent and are usually unlocked after the main quest is completed. but this one seems to be the other way around. God, I'm getting flashbacks to Destiny 2 with the whole under-delivery, over-delivery thing. Anyway, this quest is much better and far more interesting. The last thing I need is for a quest to tell me church bad.
The Order is not welcome around these parts. You hear me?
God damn it. Okay, well, the church bad plot isn't the main point. It's our friend Derek the Narwhal.
Dude, that's not his name.
Oh, it's Cetus the Tidebreaker. Derek sounds better. Anyway, this quest is a main quest that takes place in the new set of islands called Riccioli Islands, and it has a whole fishing event tied to it. So here's what's interesting about it. The quest and the fishing event are interwoven into each other. It's not like having a story and then a fishing mechanic was slapped on top of it. Now, an argument can be made that maybe it is just that, but I'd argue against that, and here's why. The magic behind the whole fishing deal is that it's integrated as part of your exploration of the Riccioli Islands. Sure, you can get from island to island by flying, no problem. But if you go by boat, you can explore and progress in your fishing upgrades. Not to mention, there's some asteroids to be found in the waters. It gives you that illusion of choice to opt for a different form of transportation without locking you out of one, simply by providing benefits. But let's back it up here. How's the fishing? Well, as you can see, it's pretty simple. It's not some painful fishing minigame experience like some other games. The one thing you do need to navigate around is your Diablo-style inventory. It's a small annoyance, but I guess they wanted to give us some sort of friction in gameplay. But that can be fixed through the upgrade tree. Now, for the case of getting your upgrades, let me tell you, it's a bit grindy, but hey, it's something to pass the time. Beyond that, it's just a collectathon of fish. That's it. And you get some nifty rewards. But what about the story? So, I've always talked about plot-driven stories being their weakest point, and here it's not groundbreakingly amazing, but it's relatively okay. And it helps that the cast of characters here are far more enjoyable than what we had before in terms of chemistry. This quest was fine. To tell you the truth, I don't know why it was recommended that we do the exploration quest first before the fishing one. Yes, you can skip it, but continuity-wise, I really don't see what the point was. You see, this fishing thing feels like a quest that directly follows up on 2.0's main story with Cetus the Tidebreaker, and it does do Phoebe some justice as a character, more so than the exploration quest. But here's something that drives me insane, and it's something I wish they could stop doing, because they do that with their events as well. I hate time gating. If you time gate me, I'm going to assume you don't respect my time. I chose to invest my time to complete whatever you have for me, but to tell me to stop and come back tomorrow feels like an insult. Literally, I was sitting here thinking about what I should be doing because I wanted to progress through the quest, but it won't let me, despite the fact that I completed what I could with the fishing tree and bought out the whole store. Let me do everything that was in front of me. There's no reason why I should be time gated. But aside from that, I think this quest was a good palate cleanser.
I can't do it. I don't want to be a hero no more. Oh, no, you don't, Eugene. You said you wanted to be a hero.
Children, am I right? There is one more thing I want to point out in this section, and that's the side quests. Normally, I don't highlight them because they're not worth highlighting, and most of the time they're worthy of a skip. But I do want to take the time to appreciate something. Is that these quests are voiced. This is a big positive. Now, in terms of substance, it's like any other side quest, but if they decide to voice everything, this game will feel more alive than it's ever been before.
Oh, Julien! Come here, Julien! Come get your fishy!
Children, am I right? So yeah, this video is going to be much shorter than the ones that I make for patches in Wuthering Waves because there's not a lot I can talk about. And thank God for that, because Wilds is around the corner. It's been living in my mind rent-free. Do I want to talk about the other content on offer? Not really. The new weekly activity is alright, but it feels like I'm just going through the motions. The endgame seems to be interesting, but I didn't get far enough to formulate an opinion. Hopefully it's a better experience compared to TOA. Truth be told, I feel spent completing the whole fishing thing, but there are a few things I do want to touch on. So, many months back, I made a video detailing features from PGR that would translate well into Wuthering Waves. One of my biggest regrets is that I didn't mention PGR's excellent loadout system. But the thing is, to me, as good as it is, the gearing system in PGR is rather straightforward. Sure, there are cases where you can build a character towards a specific game mode, but for me, either I have them on a main build or I shove them into a DaVinci build. Beyond that, I can't really make an add-on video saying, oh yeah, and the loadout system. Anyway, the point is, Wuthering Waves has the loadout system. Great, this is huge. But it's not how I imagined it would be. Yeah, while everyone is out here celebrating the fact that we have a loadout system, I'm here to complain about it. Yes, people will say it's great that we have it, and I'm right here with you. But what I didn't expect was that it's different compared to PGR's loadout system. You see, the loadout system in Wuthering Waves, or what they call a preset system, same thing, extends universally across the account instead of having presets being tied to the character. To a certain extent, it makes sense because in terms of sets, it's rather straightforward. Have a Moonlit set, have a Frazzle set, or have a Rejuvenation set. But what I was hoping for was that every character would have their own separate and dedicated loadout tab because the system should take into consideration the different stat distributions within an echo. Would it be more crit rate leaning? Would it be more crit damage leaning? Should we go all in on ER? Having a dedicated loadout for each character would be nice rather than a universal one. And the thing is, that's what we have in PGR. Granted, when you resonate in memory, it's tied to a specific character and the loadout system was designed to account for that. Regardless, this would be nice in Wuthering Waves. It really drives me insane how they have some really good ideas in PGR that could translate well into WUBA, and they don't even try to look at the blueprint set out for them. Why are they trying to reinvent the wheel? But yeah, that's my main gripe. I'm glad that the loadout exists. I'm just disappointed that it's nothing like PGR's loadout system. But let's end this video on a high note. First, a big W is that we finally got a weekly boss hologram. I feel that the more creative boss fights are the weekly boss fights. With the exception of the Jue fight, I'd rather not be annoyed. Anyway, we might see more cool weekly boss holograms in the future, who knows? The other W is ray tracing. It's pretty clear that Wuthering Waves is definitely designed for the PC audience. All I can say is, rip mobile players. Currently, ray tracing is only available for the 40 series and up. Kuro did state that they'll be working on having it be available for other graphics cards like the 30 series, but even so, we got ray tracing. Now, I am aware that some people with the 40 series graphics cards cannot find the ray tracing feature. Personally, I'm not sure what's going on. I mean, I had that problem, but the way I fixed it was that I unchecked the launch with DirectX 11 in the launcher and boom, I have that option. Anyway, overall, I would say that 2.1 is kind of mid, and personally, I was a bit disappointed. I didn't like the exploration quest, and the fishing one was pretty alright, but it wasn't that big of a deal to me. I know there's this thing where people love having fishing in their games, but honestly, I couldn't care less about fishing. It's worth noting that their take on blending fishing and exploration was done quite well, but it's not for me. Despite the fact that this was ultimately a filler patch, I'm struggling to say that this patch was enjoyable. And it's not because of the amount of content we got, but it's the middling quality of what I've seen so far. Honestly, I think if we took out the exploration quest, this patch would be fine. Maybe that's how I really feel. But hey, I guess it's worth mentioning that the quality of life stuff is nice. I'm sure no one was expecting much of anything from 2.1, and it's understandable. 2.0 was quite the achievement, and currently, Wuthering Waves is finally hitting its stride and building up its identity. Though, when it comes to 2.1, somehow I can't help but feel a bit disappointed. As a PGR player, I had high expectations for this game, and I will always hold it to a higher standard because I expect them to know what works from their previous game. I get it, different games and different teams and all that, but there has to be some kind of talk about what they could possibly implement from their previous game into this game. And yes, I am one of those people who are hoping that one day we'll get a version of PGR that's like Wuthering Waves. But don't get it twisted, this doesn't mean I hate Wuthering Waves or anything like that. I just find it frustrating to watch something start from zero when they don't need to. Wait, I just realized I started ranting a bit. Sorry about that. Oh well, either way I'm sure my opinion is in the minority. After all, Wuthering Waves is mostly filled with Genshin refugees, and what they want is a better Genshin impact. I can't fault them for that. I just hope what they envision won't lead us down the same road as Genshin. Anyway, that's the end of the video, so now if you excuse me, there's another game that wants my attention. So I'll head over there. And, of course, wait until Wilds comes out. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!